What's up, everybody? Welcome back to After the Storm, and welcome to the Canes game review for game number 5 of the season against the Dallas Stars. If you're watching this on the channel and you're wondering why maybe there wasn't a game 4, it's because I was unable to watch. I think it's kind of disingenuous to do a game review on a game I literally did not see other than the Nietzsche's overtime goal on a replay. I didn't see any of it. So pretty much any game that I don't actually see myself, I will not do a video for, unfortunately. That pretty much siphons off my Thursday nights. If there's a game on Thursday nights, I will not have a Canes game review for that one. I haven't taken a close look at the schedule, so I don't actually know how many that'll be, but let's not waste any more time. Let's just get right into the Dallas game. Coming into the game, it was announced that Jesper Fast is the only remaining player on the COVID-19 protocol list. Of course, a lot of players still have not come back. Teravainen and Slavin, obviously the key ones among those. In total, 5 starters for the Canes out of the lineup. In the net for this one, we have Anton Khudobin, a former Cane in his own right, facing off against Peter Mrazek. And some personnel changes for the Dallas Stars before the game started. Jamie Benn, the captain, not in the lineup. Tyler Seguin, of course, still out long-term, but Roope Hintz and Blake Como both draw back in to the lineup, who have been dealing with injuries in their own right. The first period starts off in this one, and early on, I think it's 3 or 4 minutes in, Max McCormick dives. Of course, McCormick coming off the taxi squad wouldn't be in the lineup if it weren't for all the players having COVID and needing to actually utilize the taxi squad. Max McCormick dives to block a pass attempt that actually never came. He bumps into Mrazek, and Mrazek immediately called for the trainer, rushed off the ice. As I'm recording this right now, maybe there will be news after the game. I'm recording this portion after the first period. As of right now, there is no news about Peter Mrazek. Just taking a look at it, though, it looked like he jammed his wrist up, so either his wrist is just jammed, which would be great. That's the best possible scenario, is just a jammed wrist. Worst possible case scenario is that's a broken wrist. Nedeljkovic did come from the tunnel to sit on the bench as the backup, which would indicate that Mrazek is not returning. As a result of the injury, James Reimer coming into the net in place of Peter Mrazek. And very shortly after this, a little play, Steven Lorentz coming through the neutral zone, kind of tries a nice chip pass, or a through pass really, up to Martin Nietzsche's, hits the backboards. Nietzsche's a quick little backhand play through the Dallas defenseman, and Vincent Trocheck is right there to score 1-0. Of course, on this play, Steven Lorentz, his first NHL point, so they made sure to go get the puck for him, so I'm sure we'll see a picture of Steven Lorentz. I might even have it for the video, hopefully, depends on how long it takes for them to get that photo, but I'm sure Steven Lorentz will have that photo of that puck. Trocheck continues his hot start, though, with this goal, and as we would see, even before the end of the first, he would strike again. Trocheck's second goal would come off a penalty taken by John Klingberg. There was a lot of questionable hits and penalties called in this first period. The Bean hit he took from Klingberg I didn't really think was dirty. Yeah, I didn't think the Klingberg hit was dirty. It kind of just looked like a quick little play that it resulted in Bean's head getting hit. There was head contact, of course, but I don't think it was a headshot per se. It didn't seem like it had intent behind it. And on the ensuing power play, a little jam play in front, a scramble, and Vincent Trocheck finds the puck on his backhand, shoves it through. We got a 2-0 hockey game. A little bit later on in the period, McCormick battling down low, throws a hit, turns to play the puck, and he's boarded by Blake Como. This one, yeah, no, this is a dirty hit. I hate going and just immediately saying something's dirty, like a hit or a play or anything like that, because I do want to give the players the benefit of the doubt that they're not running around trying to hurt anybody else. But this one was completely on the dirty side. Maybe it wasn't totally dirty, but Como comes in from a long way. It could have been considered a charge. I don't know if his feet were moving. I haven't seen the replay enough times to take a look at Blake Como's feet, but you could make the argument that yes, it was a charging penalty. He hits him kind of on the back at, less than a 45-degree angle. Really just hits him right on the numbers and in to the boards. And McCormick's hurt on the play. There's no penalty on the play. McCormick's shoulder went in very hard. Again, we don't know exactly what's going on with McCormick at this stage. The assumption is he's not going to be returning for this one, as we are at the end of the first period as I record this. But again, that's another player that is now out of the lineup for the Canes. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that we are looking at some of these players coming off the COVID protocol list and being able to come back into the lineup tomorrow. Already looking at Lorentz, Geeky, Rempal, and McCormick in this lineup from the taxi squad. Doesn't bode well when we're looking at a 6-player taxi squad and 4 of those players are having to be immediately used. Very shortly after, the play is picking up. Physical, emotional game for the Canes. There's a hit in the corner on Sebastian Aho, and he kind of took offense to it. And, I didn't particularly like the call. I thought it was on the weaker side, especially considering the amount of complete bullshit that we've seen happen in front of the net. I'm talking about Jake Muzzin injuring Tim Stützle early on in the season. The amount of stuff that we've seen get let go in front of the net in favor of hockey plays, this is kind of a weaker call, but I do like the fact that I saw a cross-check be called in front of the net, because if hopefully, even though it's against Aho, start calling this stuff. And I think more so than it being a cross-check, I think it's a retaliatory play, and that's why it's called. Nevertheless, Aho goes off to the penalty box. The Canes would kill that penalty, and then, of course, right toward the end of the period, there's this little weak play. This one is a weak call. I think it was Cogliano threw a hit on somebody in the corner, or McGinn or something, and Svechnikov comes in, throws a very minor cross-check that had no bearing on Cogliano going into the boards. It didn't hurt Cogliano. It barely even moved Cogliano. And Svechnikov gets that penalty while we watched Blake Como board a player and hurt them and take them out of the game, and nothing happened. The first period ends 2-0 for the Canes. As the second period begins, Abby Labar from the Fox Sports coverage of the Canes confirming in a tweet that Mrazek and McCormick would not return for this one. If you take a look in the replay, I'm not going to post a picture because it's kind of gross. If you take a look at the replay, if you slow it down when they re-showed it in the broadcast in the second period, I initially thought it had been Mrazek's wrist. It appears it was his thumb, and it was broken. Just looked all jacked up. So, yeah, it does not look good for Peter Mrazek. And now I'm starting to think, it's a hand and a blocker. The blocker hand is I guess the thumb, but usually the thumb has a big, type of thing around it. So to me, it's very curious how he even managed to break his thumb, unless his thumb was super exposed or something when McCormick ran into him. And he was kind of going for a poke check, so that would actually make sense. So the Canes come into the second period, killing off the Svechnikov cross-checking penalty from the end of the first. Toward the end of that penalty, I think there was 4 or 5 seconds left or something. Ty Dellandrea, he takes a tripping call on Vincent Trocheck, and the Canes get a minute and 54 seconds, I should say, power play as soon as Svechnikov steps out of the box. Dallas kills that penalty off. Shortly after that, though, a puck comes up in to the face of Brock McGinn, and another Hurricanes player is now leaving the ice. Brock tried to stay on the bench, but of course, erring on the side of caution, they did send him to the room. He returned a little while later. Guy just takes a puck to the face and keeps playing. Martin just gets tripped up by Mark Pizik. I'm not sure if this one was actually on the power play or not, but Aho cuts into the zone on a nice little zone entry, makes a quick little play over to Svechnikov. He dekes from his forehand to his backhand, tucks it around Anton Hudobin, and the Canes lead 3-0. Svechnikov's 4th of the season, a huge one. 3-0 lead is big in any game, especially a game against what these all are, divisional games, and against one of the better teams in the division in the Dallas Stars. I didn't see on the broadcast, they didn't really go back to it. Somehow Radek Faksa had a penalty after the goal. I assume he did something after the play. It was not shown, so I am unsure of what it was. So I looked it up on Game Center. Apparently it was an interference call on Svechnikov. I have no idea how, considering Svechnikov went and scored a goal. So, sure. Hey, whatever. So Fax is in the box now. Another power play to the Canes. And late in this power play, Ryan Dzingel from the opposite side takes a shot and beats Anton Hudobin. And it is 4-0 for the Canes. At this point, Hudobin gets the yank. Jake Ottinger comes in. Basically, at this point, just a mercy pull and a way for Dallas to be able to play Hudobin tomorrow. Jordan Staal goes off with a slashing penalty. I'm not even sure if this was on the power play or if it was like on the delayed call or whatnot, but Dallas got a shot on goal with about 6 minutes left in the second period, and they nearly went a full 20-minute stretch without a shot. On the Stars power play, though, they get a nice chance. Rupe hits the post, but that would do it for the second period. Other than the goals, of course, a quiet period. Thankfully, little to no injuries in this one. McGinn, of course, returned. And as I've got a little bit of time left in the intermission here as I'm recording this after the second period, I did want to bring up the way this team is playing. I didn't get to see the Tampa game, but I heard so many good things just looking through tweets from Gaines' Twitter. For me, it makes this decision really tough when Martinook and Fogle and Teravainen and everybody coming off the COVID list, drawing back into this lineup. This makes it a really difficult decision because they've arguably played better than when they have Martinook and Fogle in the lineup. I think for me, Martinook is the hill I die on. That's a player, of course, in the room, just playing fourth line minutes. That's perfect for him. He's been good. But I look at Warren Fogle, and he's had a real rough go so far to this season. Has a couple flashes here and there in terms of good plays and stuff. But again, he's a player I think is extremely expendable with this team. And with the play of, Steve Lorentz, Morgan Geekie, it makes moving Fogle at this point really easy. And of course, trades are really difficult right now anyways, because everybody, depending on where you're trading them, they might have a week, they might have 5 days, they might have 2 weeks if you're Patrick Laine coming over the border from Canada. So a trade is weird, but for me, I wouldn't break up the way this team is looking right now, and I might be throwing Warren Fogle on waivers. I want to get that off my chest because, man, I've just liked how, especially Geekie, I think Geekie's been playing well. Lorentz looks very comfortable. These guys right now that are coming into this lineup look really, really good. And if it's translating on the ice, why go away from it? We start off a quiet third period. Justin Dowling goes off for slashing. Canes go to the power play. On the power play, Trocheck had a great chance in front. Onger stopped him. Stopped that hat trick. But a while later, Aho takes a slashing penalty. A bit needless to say. The least on this one, he just didn't need to take it. Pretty much right off the draw. Klingberg, point shot, either hit somebody in front. I can't even remember. Hit somebody in front or Reimer stopped it. Puck finds Pavelski on the doorstep, and Joe Pavelski from about 3 feet anywhere in front of the net is the best player in hockey. He easily gets it over Reimer, so it is a 4-1 game. Pavelski with his 5th of the season. Pretty much nothing happened for the rest of the period. This was pretty early on that the Pavelski goal happened, I think. And the rest of the period went off with just a lot of boring hockey, not many chances. Later in the period, with about 3 or so minutes to go, McGinn takes a high sticking penalty. Jake Ottinger's pulled for the Stars. The Canes don't really get any sort of chances with the open net. They kill off the penalty. A bad icing call by Dallas forces Ottinger back into the net. Lorentz actually had a nice breakaway opportunity toward the end of the game. Just didn't get enough of a stick on the puck, but a great display of his speed and his ability to break away. He had a very, very strong game. And that would do it. The Canes win 4-1 in game number 5. 2 extremely strong games back-to-back against Tampa Bay, the 1-0 overtime win, and here a 4-1 win against the Cup finalists. There won't be any tweets for this video just because of the format I'm doing it in. Some of these videos will be done in this doing them while the game is on type format or just immediately after the game is done. So that way, sometimes we won't have any tweets or anything to put on the screen for you guys. But just wrapping up the game, I thought Nietzsche was the best player for the Canes in this one. He was just seeing the puck and feeling it the whole game. He's just controlling. There was a great portion in the second period, actually, where he shot a puck and it deflected off a skate or a stick and went straight up in the air. And he actually was the only one on the ice who just saw the puck and was like, I'm going to it. I'm going to get that puck back and make another opportunity for myself. Of course, after this game, though, we're going to have to deal with the aftermath of Peter Mrazek. Personally, I have a little bit of confidence in Alex Nedeljkovic coming in as the backup. Obviously, that keeps Reimer as the starter going forward. But given the picture in the video and the replay of that collision with Max McCormick, I don't expect that we're going to see Peter Mrazek for at least a month. I mean, a lot of players I think could easily play with a broken thumb in this league. I know I'm pretty sure John Tavares either had a broken thumb or a broken finger last year, and he played for it. He didn't play well. That's one of the bad things about something like that. He obviously struggled. He was able to play. But for a goalie, I can't envision that's the case. Vincent Trocheck had a really good game in this one. Continues his hot start to the season. He's got 5 on the year now. And as I mentioned earlier, just a couple really good back-to-back strong games against the Cup winners and the Cup finalists. All in all, a really good game from the Canes in this one. Thank you guys so much for watching the video here. Let's hope for a speedy recovery for Peter Mrazek. And as always, hopefully I will see you guys either tomorrow night or at some point on Monday for the game review for the Sunday night game back against the Dallas Stars. And lastly, let's hope for a speedy recovery for Peter Mrazek. His hand, let's hope it's a lot better than it looked. And as always, I will see you guys for the next Canes game review for the Sunday night affair back against the Dallas Stars.